Hello class, welcome back to another session of physics. We are dealing up with 13th chapter. We have started this chapter yesterday and we have seen some terminologies related to this chapter. Now we are going ahead with this. We're going ahead with this continuation of the chapter, and in today's class we are going to learn these things. I wish to focus on these things. What is that? It is the first law of thermodynamics, state variables, intensive and extensive variables. Intensive, and I gave some introduction of this yesterday, but I did not put that in this form. That is variables, intensive and extensive variables. Ideal gas equation, there will be nothing much to discuss on that. It is given by means of PV is equals to mu RT. We know this equation. Ideal gas equation is given by PV is equals to nRT. And once we know that equation, we see how to derive that equation of Cp minus Cv is equals to R. Hopefully you know this equation. And in this class, we now check out how to derive this equation. Only these things we learn today, and we'll just conclude after once we are done with that. So let's have a quick recap of yesterday's class. In yesterday's class, we have seen somebody texted me something. Good morning, Manasa. Right? Yeah. In yesterday's class, we have seen terminologies related to thermodynamics. We have seen the definition of thermodynamics as the interconversion from one form of things. It's a measurement or study of heat and temperatures, and their interconversion from one form to the other form. Whereas we have seen zeroth law of thermodynamics, we state that if A and B, if two systems are separately in thermal equilibrium with a third system, then those two systems are said to be in thermal equilibrium with each other. Hopefully remember these few points. Good morning, sir. Are you speaking? Yes, I'm speaking. Can you all hear me or not? Others, Manasa has got some doubt whether I'm talking or not. I'm speaking right now. Are you all able to hear? Good morning, Nikita. Able to hear all of you? Yes, Rishita says yes, sir. Fine. Hearing, sir. Right. Yes. Manasa, check out or restart your device. Everything is fine here. I'm just doing the recap. Jahender, first time I'm seeing you. Yeah, I'm just giving you the recap of yesterday's class. That is, we have seen zeroth law, which states that if two systems are separately in thermal equilibrium with a third system, if two systems separately are in thermal equilibrium with a third system, then those two systems are said to be in thermal equilibrium with each other. What is thermal equilibrium? Thermal equilibrium is that point in a system where there is no more transfer of heat takes place from one. No more transfer of energy takes place from system to the other. And first law of thermodynamics we have seen. In case of first law of thermodynamics, we have defined that in terms of delta Q is equals to delta U plus delta W. We should understand this terminology. Delta Q is the amount of heat supplied. Delta Q is the internal energy of the system, one of the important parameter, internal energy. Delta W is the amount of work done by the system. Or the meaning is that this internal energy is called as a state variable of the system. Remember this. Internal energy is called as a state variable. What is state variable? Which is possessed by the system because of its molecules, because of the particles present inside that. This is not the state variable because this is supplied externally to the system. Heat is supplied to the system, which is utilized for two purposes. One is the change in terms of internal energy. Some part of the energy will be utilized to change the internal energy. Once the system gains sufficient amount of internal energy, then the molecule starts doing some work. That the rest of the heat supplied will be utilized for the amount of work done by the system. Combination of these three things, that is delta Q is equals to delta U plus delta W, is called as first thermodynamics. In this, these two are not state variables. You should remember this point. Delta Q and delta W are not state variables. Means these are not used to what are state variables? To describe the system, we don't use these two things. How much heat is applied to the system will not define what the system is. How much work done by the system will not define what the system is. But system is defined by what? System is defined or characterized by the internal energy possessed by the system. Some quantity of something is taken, and at that point of time, how much of energy it has got will be defined. Will be defining its characteristic, that property of the state of the system. State of the system is defined by internal. Remember this important point. State of the system, in what state it is, in what way it is defined by what? Is defined by its internal energy. Is not defined by the heat supply. It is not defined by the amount of work done. So what is that state variables? One of the state variable is internal energy. Other state variables are pressure, volume, temperature, mass, density, etc. Too many things will come out. These are called as state variables. One of the state variable is internal energy. Other state variables are pressure, capital P. Every state, every system will have certain pressure associated with that. Yes or no? Every system will have volume with that. Every system will have temperature, will have mass, density, etc. Now these are called as state. Means in order to describe the system, we need these parameters. Every system is governed by some kind of this. Every system will definitely have mass with that. That system will also have density. It will be having some temperature, some pressure, some volume. Means the state of a system is described by one important thing is internal energy, and other things what it has got are that pressure, volume, temperature, mass of the system, density. Too many things can be added up to this. That is etc. Too many things. All these things are called as what? State variables. The state of a system is defined by these variables. These are going to vary. Whatever variables, these things may change. For one system to other system, these parameters will keep on changing. State variables are nothing but parameters to describe the system. Now we say these parameters are of two kinds. These state variables or the parameters which are describing the system are of two kinds. What are they? Intensive parameters and extensive parameters. That is intensive variables and extensive variables. State variables are of two kinds in the form of intensive variables and extensive variables. What are intensive variables? What are intensive variables? If you divide that system into some number of parts, if you divide that system into some number of parts. Now let me say there is a system like this which has got certain mass, certain pressure, certain volume, certain temperature, certain density. If you divide this into two equal parts, some parameters will change, some parameters will change equally, and some parameters will remain constant. Some parameters will, now there is a system which is having these parameters with that. It has got certain pressure, it has got certain density, it has got certain volume, it has got certain mass, it has got certain temperature. Now if you divide this system into two equal parts, let me say these two parts like this. These two parts are, this is part 1 and this is part 2. Now which of these parameters are going to divide half equally and which are going to remain constant? Which of them are remaining constant and which of them? Now you can answer this. If I have a system given by means of P, density, volume, mass, if you divide that system into two equal parts, what is that? Which parameters of this are going to divide equally and which parameters are going to remain constant? You can answer. You can answer if you can think. I'm waiting for answers for you people, from you people. Try to answer it. If you divide a system, if you divide a system, some of these parameters will divide into half and some will remain same. Yes, Madhu answered it like mass, pressure, volume divide equally. Yes, this entire mass, now look at this video, this entire mass of the system will be now m by 2 and m by 2 clearly. M by 2 and m by 2. Volume will also change, m by 2 and v by 2, and because total volume is v, if volume changes, pressure also changes. But density remains same in both. Temperature also remains same. Temperature will not be divided. Now some of the parameters are dividing and some of them are remaining constant. Which parameters are dividing equally? Which parameters are dividing are called as extensive variables. What are extensive variables now? Which parameters are dividing? If you divide the system, surface area divides equally. Now, okay, area is another parameter which is not needed. Okay, that's fine. Density and temperature are constant. Yeah, these two are two different kinds of variables. Intensive variables are those whose values will remain constant after dividing that system. This is a system. I'm dividing. Once this system is divided, some are dividing into equal parts and some are remaining same. Those parameters which are remaining same or which are remaining constant even after the division of the system are called as intensive variables. What this called as? Now, what are the intensive variables in this? In this, the intensive variables are density and temperature. What these are called as? These are called as intensive variables. Now, what are extensive variables? Other things which are dividing equally are called as extensive. That is, pressure is extensive variable, mass is extensive variable, volume is extensive variables. Now, we can say in simple form, there are 5 state variables, 5 or 6, let us say. So far, we have seen 6 state variables: internal energy, pressure, volume, temperature, mass, density. These variables are defined in 2 categories: intensive variables and extensive variables. Now, what are intensive variables? Intensive variables are those if upon dividing that system into some number of parts, if each of those parameters which are remaining constant are called as intensive variables. Those parameters which are not remaining constant, which are changing, are called as extensive variables. Clearly, in any example, you can say that pressure, volume, mass will be dividing. Accordingly, those are called as extensive variables. Density, temperature, internal energy will be remaining same. That would be called as intensive variables. You should understand this basic thing in this, right? Then second one, hope that point is clear. Intensive and extensive variables. Then we have Ideal's equation. We know Euler's equation. This is the way how different state variables are connected. What is that we have in Ideal equation? The way in which all the state variables or different kinds of state variables P, V, T are connected is given by means of this equation. We know this equation as PV is equals to nRT. In some books we follow PV is equals to mu RT also, mu it is. Ideal's equation is given by the formula PV is equals to mu RT. Now you should know, once you read some equation, you should know the terms. P is pressure of the gas, V is volume, R is universal gas constant, T is temperature, mu is number of moles of the gas. For 1 mole of a gas, usually we refer this for 1 mole. For 1 mole of a gas, mu is equals to 1. In that case, what is the equation you can write? You can write the equation is equal to PV is equals to R times of T. We make use of this condition to derive this equation. To derive that Cp minus Cv is equals to R, we will be using this equation. Is that concept clear? Is the 4 points clear so far? First half thermodynamics, state variables, intensive variables, extensive variables, and ideal gas equation. Variables, and we define. Now, to get this one, you should understand for the concept of specific heats. We have already defined this. Specific heat for solids denoted by S. Specific heat for solids is denoted by S. There are 2 kinds of S, small s and capital S, whether it is defined as amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a unit mass for specific heat capacity. Heat capacity and specific heat capacity. We are not talking about heat capacity now. We are talking about specific heat capacity. For solids, it is S, defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a gas, of a solid, of a unit mass substance. When mass is taken to be unit, that amount of heat is called as specific heat, and accordingly this is S. We have also seen that mass, if not taken in terms of kgs, if it is taken in terms of number of moles, then that heat is called as molar specific heat. We have already defined all this. Denoted by what? Denoted by C, and again this is also given by the same formula. C is equals to delta Q by delta T. Now, how to put this in terms of statement? Both S and Q are, S and C are talking about the same things. This is the amount of heat required. S is the specific heat of a solid, is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a unit mass substance per unit degree change. For unit degree change, for unit mass, how much heat is required, that heat is called as specific heat, and this is applicable to a solid substance. Whereas instead of 1 kg mass, if you take 1 mole of a gas, instead of mass in kgs, if you take mass or substance which is a gas, which is measured in terms of number of moles, then that amount of heat required to change the temperature of a gas for 1 degree Celsius or 1 degree change of temperature for unit mole, for 1 mole of a gas, is called as molar specific heat. Specific heat, molar specific heat. Molar specific heat, we measured mass in terms of number of moles, which is denoted by the letter C, which is again of how many kinds? Is again of 2 kinds in the form of CV and CP. When you talk about gas has some variables like this, and the most important parameters are P and V. Accordingly, that gas can be raised, the heat supplied to the gas will be utilized, can be done in 2 different forms: by keeping temperature, by keeping pressure constant, by keeping volume constant, because there are 2 variables. If one changes, the other also changes. And we can, what is that? What is the meaning of CP and CV? It is something like this. Gas is there, heat is supplied, delta Q. When heat is applied, simultaneously both P and V will change, because Boyle's law, P is inversely proportional to V. Simultaneously both P, pressure and volume, will be changing. Now, how pressure is changing? We need to understand how pressure is changing and how volume is changing. But understanding these two simultaneously is not easy. It is a difficult task. How the variation of pressure is taking place, how the variation of volume is taking place, cannot be understood directly or easily. For that purpose, what we do, we understand how volume is changing, assuming that pressure is constant. We understand how pressure is changing, assuming that volume is constant. By using this concept, we say molar specific heat is of 2 kinds. Molar specific heat can be taken in terms of at constant volume and at constant pressure. Since both cannot be studied simultaneously, we make use of, we assume that one of the thing is kept constant, the other is varying, and vice versa. Accordingly, molar specific heat is taken in terms of CP and CV. CV indicates molar specific heat at constant volume. CP indicates molar specific heat at constant pressure. Are we clear so far? Are we clear so far? Can I go ahead with the other parts? Can this be extended further? No responses, so I take it for granted that clear. So far, are we clear? Able to hear? Are we clear? Are you able to hear? What a rhyming. Yeah, clear. Yes, 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 that's fine. Good. Right. So what is that? We have seen the introductions to specific heat, molar specific heats, S and C. C is of 2 kinds, CP and CV. Why are we taking 2 different kinds? Because it is impossible to study both the things simultaneously. So we have to assume one is constant, other is taking place. Accordingly, we use. Now, let us derive that equation of CP minus CV is equals to R. To derive that one, we make use of first law of thermodynamics. From first law of thermodynamics, we know that from first law of thermodynamics, we know that delta Q is equals to delta U plus delta W. This is the first equation. From first law of thermodynamics, we know this one. Delta Q is equals to delta U plus delta W. Now, let us assume at constant volume, then now we are deriving. Now we need to assume 2 things. One is at constant volume, other is constant pressure. Accordingly, first I am assuming constant volume. Differentiate on both sides of equation 1. Equation 1 is divided with delta T. I am dividing both sides of the equation with change of temperature. Delta T is change of temperature. What is that now? You can say delta Q by delta T is equals to delta U by delta T plus, do we know that you can write this dW is equals to P times of delta V? Somewhere you have come across earlier. Just go through this. Pressure work done is equals to pressure into volume. The product of, in Bernoulli's theorem also, I think you have come across while deriving that half rho V square and all. if this equation is there, you should remember this. It has come in Bernoulli's theorem also earlier. Just recap that the amount of work done is pressure into volume. dW is equals to, it is either delta P into V because, or P into delta V. P delta V is the formula for amount of work done. So I can write this as P delta V times of delta T. You should remember this equation that we can write delta W as P times of delta V. You have come across this Bernoulli's theorem earlier. Just have a recap of that if you are not sure, like from where you got that. Accordingly, now I can say that P is equals to delta times of delta V. I am dividing that by W, that delta T, right? Is that clear? Dividing this equation by delta T, delta Q by delta T, delta U by delta T, delta W by delta T, but delta W is equals to P times of delta V. Accordingly, I am writing this equation. And this is what thing I am talking about? I am talking about constant volume. To indicate that constant volume, we'll use this. Let us use subscripts in the form of V to say that we are talking about constant volumes. V is being used to show that we are talking about constant volume. Now, you can talk this as dQ by dt at V as CV. Yes or no? Specific it, the amount of heat required for 1 mole of gas to raise the temperature, delta Q by delta T at V is CV is equals to, let us write this as delta U by delta T itself at constant volume plus, will this factor comes out to be 0 or not? Because volume is assumed to be constant. If volume is constant, what is the change of volume? Initial volume minus final volume. That is final volume minus initial volume. Both are same. This factor comes to be 0. At constant volume, this factor turns out to be 0 because delta V indicates final volume minus initial volume. Since volume is constant, final and initial are same. Delta V is 0. If delta V is 0, the other factors will also turn out to be 0. Or from this we say that CV is equals to delta U by delta T. And we are now eliminating that V because we are already showing that V here. In this equation, we have eliminated this. We have just omitted this V because that V is already shown here. That is CV is equals to delta U by delta T. This is equation number 2. What are the assumptions we made? The only assumption what we made is that from this equation we are writing delta W is equals to P. If you know this, the other part is simple. If you don't know, just have a recap. We have come across this in Bernoulli's theorem equation that delta W can be expressed as work done is equals to pressure times of change of volume. Right? This is about what? This is about constant volume. Now let us write for constant pressure the same equation again from thermodynamics. Again from first law of thermodynamics, delta Q is equals to delta U plus delta W. Now writing this in terms of at constant pressure, what did we write? We write that delta Q by delta T at P is equals to delta U by delta T at P plus P times of delta V by delta T. You can write like this. Now, final equation, this is Cp is equals to, even this is also at P, we again omit P's here. Cp is equals to delta U by delta T plus P delta V by delta T. Because here we are clearly showing that what this is talking about. This is talking about molar stress at constant pressure. So we include P's to say that constant pressure, but we can omit P's also once the equation is obtained. Now this is equation number 3. What is equation 2? Equation is this one. Delta CV is equals to delta U by delta T. Can we use from 2 in 3? Using 2 in 3. What is 2? 2 is CV is equals to delta U by delta. Means in this case of delta U by delta T can be replaced by Cp is equals to Cv plus P delta V by delta T. You can write like this. What is that? In place of, after omitting that subscript P, you will find that equation to be Cp is equals to delta U by delta T plus P times of delta V by delta T. Delta U by delta T, P or V can be replaced. Accordingly, Cp is equals to, this will now become Cv, and this is remaining as is. Now taking this Cv to the other side, what it becomes? Cp minus Cv is equals to, what is that? Pv by T. Can you replace this Pv by T by R? Why? Because for 1 mole of a gas, you have seen already this. For 1 mole of a gas, Pv is equals to RT. But R is equals to what? R is equals to Pv by T. Means Pv by T. Pv by T can be replaced by R. Accordingly, this is the derivation of Cp minus Cv is equals to R. You are writing this equation in terms of Cv, this equation in terms of R, because from 1 mole of a gas, ideal gas, Pv is equals to mu RT, or mu is equals to 1, Pv is equals to RT, R is equals to Pv by T. Accordingly, Pv by T can be replaced by R. Accordingly, Cp minus Cv is equals to R. This is the needed equation for us. This is the derivation what you have. You might have learnt about Cp minus Cv earlier. Cp minus Cv earlier, but derivation may not be there in the previous classes, right? Accordingly, we have. Now we have different types of processes. Means a system is governed by what equations? We'll talk about this process in next class. Today's class is completed. We'll talk about the different types of processes in next class. What is that? Processes. A system can undergo change in terms of state variables by keeping there are too many variables: pressure, volume, temperature, mass, and all. Out of all this, we choose like this. We keep pressure constant, we study about the other. We keep volume constant, study about the other. We keep temperature constant. By keeping one thing constant, that is called as some kind of work done. Means different types of processes we get. Keeping temperature constant is called as isothermal process. Keeping volume constant is called as isobaric process. Keeping pressure constant is called as isochoric process. Accordingly, different types of names you are going to get. We'll check all these different types of processes. These are called as different types of thermodynamic processes. We'll learn about these things in the next class.